All right, let's get this out of the way. If you like the content of this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like the content on this channel in general, please consider subscribing. That would be lovely. The first couple I'd like to talk about are benefits palettes. This one is one that I just recently depotted. And we are talking, I did it yesterday, so I kept the packaging just to show you the Cheekathon. So I still have all of the products from the Cheekathon. So these are right here. The only one that I don't have here is the Rockateur, because I need to stick a magnet on the back of it in order to be able to put it into this palette. It comes in a plastic casing, and it's not quite convenient for me to go and get it right now to show you, but it will fit right where that round Tarte blush is right now. So I'm very happy I depotted, because I think that part of why I was not using it was I really am not big on the packaging. I wanted to get away from this and have the pans in that magnetized palette. I'm much happier with that, but that is still, I consider that it's a palette because I got it in palette form. I have just depotted. And this one is one that I took on my last trip, and it is the Complexionista. And this is the volume 1. The volume 2, I think, is darker. I could be wrong, like for deeper tones. There's the number 1 and number 2. I've used both, as you can see, the Hula Light, Hula Regular, and then the What's Up. This is also a cream, and then the Dandelion Twinkle, which I'm happy with because I did not have this highlighter. It is a very solid palette for travel. The only thing I don't like, I love its size, by the way, it's very cute. What I don't like is the fact that there are 3 cream products with 3 powder products, but so far they haven't really mixed together, so I feel like maybe this is going to continue to work for me. I like it very much. Those are my 2 benefit products. Let's go into Smashbox. I have a couple. I have an all highlighter palette. This is the Spotlight, I think. Yeah, Spotlight palette in Pearl. I really like these highlighters. They're very flattering. I don't dislike any of them. And it's a compact palette, which is nice. And this is the Trio, so a kind of a matte highlight, bronzer, and contour. Again, very solid product. For face products, I really think that Smashbox hits it out of the park. They're very, very good products. One that is fairly new to my collection, this is the Holiday 2018 Hot Tryst palette. And you will see it has had a lot of love. I just have trouble opening it. You'll see that the design is fading on almost all of these shadows. Not shadows, pardon me, but face products. So 2 highlighters and 4 blushes. There is nothing in this palette that I don't like. I have used it a lot and will continue to do so. It's a gem find for me in 2018. Very, very happy. Another one that I like, I just don't like the fact that there is a cream product in here, is this highlighter palette. So there are 4 highlighters, the cream product, and the contour. And it's just weird. It's weird packaging too, the mirror on each side and whatnot. But I have to say that all of these highlighters, very nice, very nice. I would say probably Stunner is my favorite, but they are all beautiful and for different reasons. So this is a palette that I very much appreciate having in my collection, and I do think, apart from this double door opening thing, I like how sturdy and professional it looks. Let's go for some Anastasia. I have 2 blush kits from Anastasia. This is the Gradient, and the other one's the Radiant. This one I have used as blush, and I've been very surprised. I have a light complexion, and each one of these blushes works fine. I enjoy all of them, really. This one's very close to Dallas, in my opinion, at Benefit Dallas. And let's just put them side by side because I've never done the comparison. Oh, it's deeper than Dallas, but not by much. Dallas is right here. But yeah, I really, really like it. And I have used these three as eyeshadow as well, and it works really well. I mean, talk about big pans of eyeshadow. This plum color is beautiful. And then the one that was quote unquote for my skin tone is this one, and I like all of these. The only one I'm not too big on is the shimmery bubblegum pink blush, but these are all, they're very flattering, and I have used a lot of these. Now let's go for the contour kit, light to medium. This contour kit is very nice, as you can see. It has received some love, but I don't go to it as often as I would like because I've been focusing on other contour palettes. I also appreciate the fact that you can remove them and replace them if you run out of a given shade or type of contour product. I don't mind the two bronzers, the warmer and cooler, and the contour works fine. And it does work on a range of people. One of the things that I've been meaning to do is try that yellow powder under my eye a little bit to see if it works better than what I've been doing so far. But I like the packaging. It's not too big, just what you need. And for a contour or face palette, I really like it. And really, you can also take this as your neutrals if you're traveling and just use those for your shadows and then complement with some color. Speaking of color, this is my favorite highlighting palette, hands down. I think it's beautiful, and it allows me to use it on the cheek, mostly Eclipse and Lyra I'll use on the cheek, but Luna, if I use a light hand. But I also love these colors on the eye. You can see that I've used some of everything here and really enjoy it. I'm so happy I got it, and I was on the fence because the colors looked wild and I didn't know how much I was going to use it, but I use it a whole lot more than I ever anticipated. Let's talk about a couple of face palettes that are very new to my collection. This one you may have seen in December on my channel. This is a 4-color palette, face palette, shimmery bronzer, highlighter, and a matte and shimmery blush from Lancôme. I tried all of these. I like them. 2 of them, I believe, at least 2 of them, the shimmer blush and the highlighter, are 2 permanent items in Lancôme's collection. This one I think it might also be, but I'm not sure. And then this bronzer is truly limited edition and only part of this holiday set. But I like this face palette. Very, very light, very little product. 7 grams, 7.3 grams in here. But for a face palette, if you only want to bring a few colors, so 1 bronzer, 1 highlighter, and just 2 options for blush, this is a really good option. I am happy with it. I am even happier with this one because, now the only thing it's missing is a bronzer. But I like the 2 blushes in here more, and the highlighter is just fine. It's subtle, which works for me for most of my uses. So for a very small face palette for travel, this is good. I'm very happy with this one, and happy that I ended up picking up this the holiday kit, at least for this little guy. Okay, let's talk a little Tarte. This one was also in my eyeshadow palette video, but these 3 pans down here I think about a lot when I think about this clay play. I enjoy these 3 very much. This is a very nice contour shade, very nice. And timber and terracotta can work together, kind of mix together as a bronze. Very nice. And all 3 are beautiful used as eyeshadow in this palette. I really enjoy it and think of this one as a default face palette, although it's getting a little bit displaced by the Park Avenue Princess, which I am completely smitten with this palette. In big part, can we just take a moment for this packaging? It's blinding, but it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. If there's something Tarte does well, it's packaging. And in here, there are 6 complexion items and a very big mirror. And you can tell that there's wear on all of these. This one, Crown, for a shimmery bronzer is beautiful. This is my go-to bronzer, and Princess Cut is my go-to contour. This one is my second favorite bronzer, and then these for matte highlighters, they're beautiful. And there's not a ton, I will say, there's not a ton of product in here. Each one of these pans is only 4.5 grams, which is quite small for bronzer. But what I've already said on my channel, and I definitely am sticking to it, is when I pan this palette, I am definitely going to repress face products that need repressing into this palette because I want to keep using it. It is so gorgeous, I want to keep using it. Okay, let's talk a little Urban Decay. I have the Naked Skin Shapeshifter. I have fallen back into love with this palette of recent. I used it for an extended period of time not so long ago. There are 4 powder products. All of these are solid products. I really enjoy this highlighter. It's very pretty. And then on the cream side, I have also used, you will see that I've also used all of the cream products. The 2 that I've used the most is the cream and the brown. Out of them, I've used the highlighter the least, but I do want to focus on this palette this year. I don't feel I need to focus on the powders so much, but I do want to use up the creams because creams have a smaller shelf life, and I do intend to keep using this palette as well by depotting cream products into it. I think it's the packaging just wins it for me. It's very compact, very useful with the mirror separating the creams from the powders. It's the only palette that has both that I am happy with, like 100% happy with, and it's a little gem that I think a lot of folks could really enjoy. Another palette that has a lot in it is the Jean-Michel Basquiat, and this one has 4 items in it, 2 blushes. This blush is my favorite of the 2. Very nice highlighter here, and this bronzer is nice, very nice, and it's on the cooler side, and it does a decent job for contour as well. Like it's still a warm bronzer, but it's I think you can tell that it can act as contour as well. I like this palette a lot. I have brought it with me as a face palette for travel, and the artwork on here is also just wonderful. I love this quite a bit. Now, if I want more highlighters, Afterglow has me covered. And Wicked in here is my favorite. This one right here. It's almost like a great blush topper as well as a highlighter. I really, really enjoy it. The 2 that I use the most are Wicked and ONS. And the reason being that Cliché and No Angel, I tend to think of other palettes when I think of highlighters that are this color. But definitely a solid highlighter palette. I have one cream palette from Cover FX, and this is called the N Light Contour Kit, and there are 4 creams in here. This one is the highlighter, bronzer, well, you can mix these together, and then matte highlighter. I like these. The reason it's had so much love, though, is because I used it for a Halloween costume some time ago, not in 2018 but in 2017, and I was very happy with how the cream products performed for that. But they also definitely work quite nicely on the face. I have tested that out, and yes, I like them. Cover FX has very solid products all around. My favorite of theirs, though, is the face products for sure. One palette here that I also featured in the eyeshadow palettes is this Infinity palette, and the reason for the name Infinity palette is that it is meant to be used for all over the face, anywhere you want it. She would say even face and body, and so you've got a couple of quote-unquote highlighters, a couple of quote-unquote blushes, contour, bronze, and a black, but they're meant to be mixed together and to do whatever it is, whatever the heck you want with this palette, both eye and body. I'm very much looking forward to using this palette. I have not touched it yet. This one I managed to get for half off from the Linda Hallberg or Halleberry site. and that was when it was a surprise. That's when I was ordering the Enchanted Secret and the Metallics Volume 2. And when I saw this one was a half price, and I was on the fence on whether or not to get it, well, that just made me pull the trigger. So I'm going to enjoy working with this. And with this palette and the two quads, I can do a full look with just Linda's products. So I'm looking forward to that. And just another few palettes that I consider drugstore. One of them is a blush palette, and this is the Infallible Paints blush palette by L'Oreal. And I did get rid of the brush because it was pretty useless, but very vibrant blushes. And I got it for just 25% of the original price, so I thought, oh, why not? I have swatched them, but I have not used them. I have to do a little bit of a dedicated video to these. My favorite highlighter from the drugstore, and the reason I bring it into the palette is because of the fact that there are 12 options in here for eye and highlighter, and I really enjoy this as a companion palette to a few other things for a variety of uses. This is a hidden gem in the drugstore, and I would have trouble seeing myself declutter this. It's just so neat. I have a couple of face palettes from the drugstore. This one from Maybelline is really neat. It has a contour blush and a highlighter, and I have taken it with me traveling a couple times, and it has everything you pretty much need. You just need a bronzer and you're good to go. Another one from the drugstore, this time it is from the Quo brand, and this one is more of a just straight matte highlighter, contour, and blush, but it's a solid product. I like it. And finally, I am saying this one is from the drugstore just because of the pricing, but it is supposed to be a dupe for the Makeup Forever palette that is similar, and I did put quite a dent in it. As you can see, I used it as my primary palette for Halloween this year as a way to test it out, but it works very nicely as well as a base for a number of shadows. So I will definitely be making much more use of this one as I create wild and varied looks in 2019. This was a palette that I got in late September, I believe, or late August, somewhere around there. And very happy that I made this purchase. It was really, really cost effective. I just don't remember the price offhand, but the iMagic Pro for face and body is, I thought it was a very good deal on Amazon, and I cannot tell you compared to Makeup Forever because I've never owned the Makeup Forever palette. I have looked at it, but because it was $100, I just decided I would try this one first and see if it fit my needs before I considered paying over 4 times, I think over 4 times as much. So yeah, very happy I have this one. And if you're wondering why I keep it in the box, I want to protect the cream products as much as possible, so I just kept the box. First in the miscellaneous pile is my Quo Brow palette. This is a very tiny palette, and I love it. I will refill it when I finish what's in here. Brow wax, a highlighter, and my brow powder. I use the heck out of, and I've got eyelashes everywhere. I use the heck out of this palette and will continue to do so, and like I said, I will refill it. And I love the little brush that comes in it. Talk about tiny, right? Just so tiny. Now for lip palettes, my least used palette type. This one I got this past year, early in the year, and I have definitely started to use it, as you can see. What I really love though about this palette is the brush. The brush is just awesome. And so this is a palette that I really do like to take with if I am going somewhere. I like all of these shades in here. I like the fact that there are gradients on the side to wipe off the brush as well if I want to. I did a little bit of that over there. And what I'm looking forward to doing with this is to depot some Urban Decay, my favorite Urban Decay lipsticks in here so that I can have my favorites with me when I'm on the go. And this is a small enough palette that I feel like I would keep it in my purse when I have the shadows that are the ones that I really want to have with me more likely. And I don't, not shadows, pardon me, lipsticks. I do have to say that I would also consider putting some of the thicker glosses in here as well. I think it's beautiful, and I'm very happy that it went on clearance because I think out of all the lip palettes I've ever considered, this is the best one. I have a couple of drugstore lip palettes, one of them that I've only used one in here and one where I've used a couple, three. They're fine, I just don't reach for them, and I really do want to, I know I can get a lot more use out of this one. This one here was more for odd colors that I wouldn't necessarily buy, like these couple, and I think it was $5. So I just decided to get it anyway. I'll just see if I end up using them this year. If not, I probably will declutter them. And finally, quite a wild option. Hopefully I'm not blinding you here, but this is the Anastasia Beverly Hills lip palette. And it came with a palette for mixing, but it was a really crappy palette. So I've ordered a proper mixing palette so I can use this more. And I owe a video to a subscriber that, I don't know if she's still a subscriber, but my lips were a mess for a while. So I've had to keep this palette off to the side. And as you can see, I do use the spatula to go into the powders because I want to be able to use this palette on other people. And so I want it to stay sanitary. So I don't dip right into it when I want to use it. I do want to get better with lipstick color this year and mixing, and I think that this palette can teach me a lot. And now that I will have that bigger mixing palette that's more robust, I'll show you what I have. This is the mixing palette that I purchased. I want to be able to hold it and use the palette properly, whereas the little guy that came with this palette it's terrible. It's so flimsy. It's kind of like a plasticky metal. And of course this spatula is great. The one that came in this palette, if you're buying it for the spatula, don't, because it's pretty useless. It bends. This part bends. It's very, very cheap, and so it's not really all that useful. So I would highly recommend just spending the $13 or whatever it is to get a kit like this. It's solid. Nothing will happen to it. You can hold it more with more confidence, and so I think that this will allow me to use this and other palettes more effectively, any sort of cream products more effectively. That's it for part 3 of my palette collection, in this case face palettes. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. But for now, take care.